Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Michael's life had settled into a comfortable routine of familiar affection with Emily, his wife of 7 years. Their home in the suburbs was neatly tucked away under the shadows of sprawling oaks, a testament to their shared love for quiet and peace, away from the bustling city where Michael worked. They shared evenings filled with soft laughter over home-cooked meals and weekend mornings lounging with newspapers and fresh coffee. Yet, amidst this domestic bliss, a nagging sense of unrest had begun to brew within Michael. It started subtly, a missed conversation here, a distracted kiss there, signs easy to dismiss yet cumulative in their coldness. Michael found himself increasingly lost in thoughts that wandered away from the home he had built with Emily, driven by a restlessness he couldn't quite name. This unspoken tension found a voice the day Lauren walked into his office. She brought with her an energy that was palpable, her ideas fresh and her perspective intriguing. Michael was drawn to her vibrancy, her uninhibited laughter that filled rooms, and the sharpness of her mind that challenged his own. Work meetings that were once mundane became sessions he looked forward to, anticipating the lively debates and the shared smiles that lingered a bit too long. He justified this newfound connection as a simple work friendship, ignoring the underlying emotional current that threatened to tug him further from his marital shore. Each conversation with Lauren left him more conflicted, suspended between the guilt of his emotional betrayal and the exhilarating feeling of being understood in ways he hadn't realized he missed. As weeks turned into months, the initial spark he felt with Lauren ignited a flame that Michael could no longer ignore. He began creating excuses to see her outside of work, under the pretense of discussing projects, but what he really sought was the intoxication of her company. These stolen moments filled him with a joy that was shadowed by guilt, as he returned home to Emily each night, her smile no longer enough to ease the turmoil within him. He loved Emily, of that he was certain, but with Lauren, he felt alive in ways that both thrilled and scared him. The duality of his desires left him paralyzed, caught between the life he had built and the life he imagined could be. It was a dangerous path he found himself on, each step towards Lauren distancing him further from Emily, each moment of happiness tinged with an impending sense of doom. The first time Michael and Lauren went out alone, the day had been particularly chaotic, filled with back-to-back meetings and urgent deadlines. They decided to grab dinner at a small Italian restaurant near the office, under the guise of needing to unwind from the day's pressures. As they sat across from each other in the dimly lit corner of the restaurant, the conversation veered away from work. Lauren shared stories of her travels, her eyes lighting up with the memories of faraway places and adventures, her laughter ringing through the quiet hum of the dining room. Michael found himself captivated, hanging on to her every word, the sound of her voice soothing and exciting all at once. He shared his own stories, finding comfort in the ease of the conversation, the way Lauren seemed genuinely interested in his thoughts and dreams, something he hadn't experienced in a long time. As the night drew on, they lingered over dessert, neither wanting to end the evening. It was then that Michael realized how dangerously close he was getting to crossing a line he had promised himself he'd never approach. The air between them was charged with an unspoken attraction, and for a moment, he allowed himself to imagine what it would be like to lean across the table and kiss her. The thought shocked him back into reality, the gravity of his emotions laying bare the truth he had been denying: he was falling for someone who was not his wife. The ride back to the office was quiet, each lost in their thoughts, the air thick with the weight of unspoken words. Michael dropped Lauren off with a terse goodbye, the warmth of their earlier conversations replaced by a cold dread of what might happen if he continued down this path. When he got home that night, Emily was waiting up for him, a gentle smile on her face as she asked about his day. Guilt washed over him as he kissed her cheek, the scent of her perfume, a stark reminder of the betrayal he felt inside. He watched her as she turned back to her book, her brow furrowed in concentration, and for a moment, he saw not the woman he married but a stranger he was hurting with his selfish desires. He realized then that his actions, however innocent they might have seemed at the moment, had the potential to unravel the very fabric of their marriage. Lying awake that night, Michael wrestled with his conscience, the faces of Emily and Lauren haunting his thoughts, each pulling him in opposite directions. The lies began small: a late meeting here, an unexpected work call there, but soon, Michael found himself weaving a complex web of deceit that spanned days and then weeks. He told himself it was to protect Emily from unnecessary pain, to keep his family intact while he figured out what he truly wanted. Yet, with each lie, he felt a piece of his integrity slip away, his self-image as an honest man eroding under the weight of his own words. The double life he led started to take its toll, the stress manifesting in sleepless nights and a constant anxiety that buzzed like a low hum at the back of his mind. Michael saw the worry in Emily's eyes, her increasing inquiries about his changed behavior piercing him with guilt, yet he felt powerless to stop the charade he had begun. Lauren, for her part, remained blissfully unaware of the turmoil she was causing. She saw their dinners and late-night conversations as harmless fun, a way to connect with someone she found exceptionally compelling. For Michael, however, they were a lifeline to a version of himself he thought he had lost, someone vibrant and desirable. As their relationship deepened, so did Michael's fear of losing both women, the wife he respected and loved and the woman who made him feel like he was the center of her universe. He juggled his dual roles with a growing dread, each day painting him further into a corner he wasn't sure he could escape from. His heart raced every time his phone rang or beeped, terrified that one of his carefully constructed lies would unravel. One evening, as he prepared for another secret rendezvous with Lauren, Emily confronted him with her suspicions. She had noticed the extra care he took with his appearance, the frequent late nights, and the way his eyes seemed to look through her, lost in thoughts he wouldn't share. The confrontation was quiet, devoid of the fiery accusations he had feared, yet it cut deeper than any shouting match could. Emily's disappointment, her sense of betrayal, was palpable, her voice trembling as she asked if he loved her still. Michael's assurance of his love felt hollow even to his own ears, a threadbare defense against the glaring truth of his actions. That night, as he lay next to Emily, listening to her quiet sobs, Michael realized the full extent of the damage he had inflicted, not just on their marriage but on the woman who had stood by him through everything. As Michael continued his affair with Lauren, the emotional distance between him and Emily widened. They became like two strangers living under the same roof, sharing only the most necessary conversations about daily chores and necessities, the warmth that had characterized their marriage cooling into a polite but strained coexistence. Michael could see the confusion and hurt in Emily's eyes, her attempts to bridge the gap between them becoming more desperate and frequent. She suggested couples therapy, date nights, anything that might help regain the intimacy they had lost. However, Michael, caught in the throes of his affair, found excuses for every suggestion, claiming work pressures and tiredness, his words further alienating the woman who once knew him best. This growing chasm terrified him in quiet moments, the realization that he was losing Emily, not to an argument or a dramatic split, but to a slow, silent growing apart that was entirely his fault. The guilt of his ongoing deceit began to affect Michael's well-being. He started losing weight, his face gaunt, his eyes perpetually shadowed by a guilt that sleep could no longer alleviate. At work, he was distracted, his interactions with Lauren no longer bringing him the joy they once did, tainted now by the price of their secrecy. He watched as Emily, too, changed before his eyes. She became quieter, her vibrant energy dimming, her smiles fewer and tinged with sadness. The house they had lovingly made into a home felt more like a shell, a place devoid of the laughter and love that had once filled its rooms. Michael knew he was at a crossroads, needing to make a decision that could either mend what he had broken or shatter it completely. Yet, fear held him back, fear of confronting the truth, of admitting his failures, of facing the potential loss of everything he held dear. One night, as he returned home late again, Michael found Emily sitting in the dark living room, waiting for him. The air was thick with unspoken words, the tension palpable as she finally broke the silence. With a voice steady but filled with emotion, Emily asked him if he was in love with someone else. The directness of her question caught him off guard, stripping away any pretense he might have clung to. The room seemed to close in on him as he stood there, the weight of his choices pressing down. This was the moment of truth, a chance to start mending or to confess and let go. The silence stretched between them, heavy and expectant, as Michael struggled with his conscience, knowing that his next words could mark the end of their marriage or the beginning of a long, difficult road to redemption. Despite the deepening crisis at home, Michael found himself unable to break away from Lauren. Their affair escalated as they spent more nights together, their meetings no longer just flirty escapes from reality but now marked by a desperation and urgency that neither fully understood. Michael rationalized his actions by telling himself he was too far gone, that the damage to his marriage was irreparable, and that perhaps he deserved a chance at this new happiness. However, these justifications rang hollow when he saw Emily's continued suffering. Each day he noticed more signs of her distress, items moved in the house as if in search of something lost, more calls left unanswered, more silences filled with resentment and pain. It was as though they were both actors in a tragic play, the roles of the betrayed and the betrayer too well fitted to their unwilling souls. As the affair grew more intense, so did the complexity of Michael's emotions. He was torn between the exhilaration of his illicit relationship and the devastation he saw in Emily's eyes each time he came home later than promised. The duality of his life was exhausting, and he began to slip in both his professional and personal responsibilities, his world shrinking to the secretive bubble he had created with Lauren. One particularly reckless evening, driven by a mix of guilt and defiance, Michael introduced Lauren to his social circle, a move that set the stage for the eventual unraveling of his secret. The event was a disaster, with friends' confused glances and whispered conversations making it clear that his affair was no longer as hidden as he had hoped. The consequences of his choices came to a head when one of Emily's friends, who had been at the event, confronted her with suspicions about Michael's behavior. The pain and humiliation of hearing about Michael's indiscretions from someone else shattered Emily's last hope that their marriage could be saved through silence and patience. When she confronted Michael, her anger and heartbreak were palpable, her words cutting through his defenses and leaving him with nowhere to hide. He stood there, facing the wreckage of his actions, the depth of his betrayal fully revealed in the tears streaming down Emily's face. It was a moment of profound realization, a piercing clarity that what he had destroyed might never be fully mended. The day Emily found undeniable proof of Michael's affair marked a turning point in their lives. While cleaning the house, a mundane task that had become her refuge from her crumbling marriage, Emily stumbled upon a stack of hidden letters between Michael and Lauren, tucked away in the back of a rarely used drawer. The letters were detailed, passionate, and utterly devastating. Reading them, Emily felt as if she were drowning, each word a wave crashing over her, pulling her further from the man she thought she knew. The intimacy and plans discussed between Michael and Lauren were stark contrasts to the increasing distance and coldness she had experienced at home. The betrayal felt personal and profound, not just of their vows but of their entire shared history, every memory now tainted by the lies that had overshadowed them. Confronted with the physical evidence of his infidelity, Michael could no longer deny or diminish the reality of his actions. The look on Emily's face as she held the letters was a mix of heartbreak and resolve, a silent declaration that she was no longer interested in his excuses or apologies. The conversation that followed was one of the hardest of Michael's life. Emily asked for the truth, not just about the affair but about everything, the whys, the hows, and the what-nows. Michael, stripped of his justifications and faced with the pain he had caused, found himself confessing not only to the affair but to his feelings of inadequacy and fear that had led him down this path. He spoke of his fears of losing her, paradoxically driving him to the very actions that had severed their bond. Emily listened quietly, her expression one of someone putting together the pieces of a puzzle, trying to make sense of the chaos. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm but resolute. She told Michael she needed time and space to think about the future of their marriage, that the trust between them was shattered, and she wasn't sure it could be rebuilt. She asked him to move out temporarily, a physical space to match the emotional distance that had grown between them. As Michael packed a bag, the reality of his situation sinking in, he felt a profound sense of loss, not just for the partner he may have lost but for the man he had once been and might never be again. The drive to his brother's house, where he would stay until things were more settled, was a blur, each mile a step away from the life he had known and into an uncertain and unwelcome future. When Michael settled temporarily at his brother's house, the gravity of his situation began to fully settle around him like a suffocating blanket. The first few nights were sleepless, spent staring at the ceiling, replaying every decision that led him here, to this low point. His thoughts were a tumultuous mix of self-loathing and desperate planning on how to salvage any part of his life that remained intact. Meanwhile, Emily, with the space now afforded by Michael's absence, took the opportunity to seek counsel from friends and a therapist. It was during these sessions that she began to piece together her own part in their marital breakdown, not as a cause of Michael's infidelity, but in her response to the growing distance between them. She realized that in her silence, she had allowed the gap between them to widen, mistaking inaction for peacekeeping. The confrontation came a few weeks after Michael had moved out when Emily agreed to meet him at a neutral location, a quiet park where they had once celebrated happier times. The meeting was tense, with each greeting the other with a cautious politeness that was heartbreaking in its formality. Michael came prepared to apologize, to discuss therapy or reconciliation, anything that would mend the chasm between them. But Emily had other plans. She had come to express her feelings of betrayal and abandonment, her voice steady but thick with unshed tears as she outlined the pain his affair had caused, not just to her but to their shared dreams and plans. The conversation was a cathartic outpouring for Emily, who needed Michael to understand the full extent of the destruction he had wrought. For Michael, the confrontation was both a torture and a revelation. He listened, mostly in silence, as Emily detailed the loneliness and despair she had felt, how she had become a shell of herself, living in a marriage devoid of trust and intimacy. Her words forced him to confront the selfishness of his actions, the realization that he had sacrificed their happiness for his own fleeting satisfaction. It was during this painful exchange that Michael truly understood the magnitude of his betrayal and the long road of penance that lay before him, if ever there was to be forgiveness. As they parted ways that day, with no promises of reconciliation, just a mutual understanding of the hurt that needed healing, Michael felt an overwhelming sense of loss, tempered by a sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could one day find a way back to each other. In the weeks following their park confrontation, Emily immersed herself in self-reflection and therapy, seeking to understand her own needs and desires, independent of her marriage to Michael. She focused on rebuilding her self-esteem, which had been eroded not just by the infidelity but by years of neglecting her own passions and interests in favor of supporting Michael's career. Emily began attending art classes, a hobby she had set aside after marriage, and slowly, a sense of self-empowerment began to take root within her. These activities brought a new joy into her life, a reminder that her happiness did not need to be tethered to another person, even her husband. Meanwhile, Michael undertook his own journey of self-improvement, though his was laden with the guilt of his actions. He attended therapy sessions, read books on fidelity and trust, and took every possible step he could think of to become a better man, one who was worthy of Emily and the life they had once shared. He wrote letters to Emily, not with the expectation that they would be answered but as a way to express his ongoing remorse and commitment to change. These letters, filled with apologies and promises, were his way of maintaining a connection to Emily, even if only through the one-sided conversation of pen to paper. The decision about the future of their marriage, however, remained unresolved. Emily was torn between the comfort of the life they had built together and the fresh start she was carving out for herself, where she felt appreciated and fulfilled. The choice loomed large as she approached the final stages of her personal growth journey. After much deliberation, Emily decided she needed to face Michael, to discuss the possibility of a divorce. It was not a decision made in haste, but one born from a clear-eyed realization that while she still cared for Michael, she could no longer live with him. She arranged to meet Michael once more, this time to discuss the logistics of their separation, a meeting that would mark the end of their marriage but the beginning of a new chapter for Emily. As the day of their final meeting approached, Michael felt a complex mix of dread and resignation. He had spent months grappling with the consequences of his actions, each day an exercise in confronting the pain he had caused and the likely end of his marriage. He prepared himself for the meeting by revisiting the letters he had written to Emily, reminders of the depth of his regret and his sincere desire for her forgiveness. These letters, never sent, were his silent dialogue with her, a testament to the man he hoped to become, one who recognized the value of commitment and the sacredness of trust. On a cool autumn morning, they met at a coffee shop, a public yet intimate space that lent itself to difficult conversations. Michael listened as Emily spoke of her decision to end their marriage, her voice calm but firm, her eyes clear and resolute. She explained that her journey over the past months had led her to a place of self-discovery and independence, a place where she no longer saw herself as part of U.S. While she acknowledged Michael's efforts to amend his ways, she confessed that the damage done was too deep, the trust too shattered to rebuild. Michael accepted her decision with a heavy heart, understanding that his actions had irrevocably changed the course of their lives. He expressed his deep sorrow for the hurt he had caused and his hope that she would find happiness and fulfillment in her new life. As they parted, Michael felt the finality of their goodbye, a closure that was both painful and necessary. He walked away from the coffee shop with a mix of grief and gratitude, grief for the past that could never be reclaimed, and gratitude for the years of love and companionship that Emily had given him. This moment, though heartrending, marked the beginning of true penance for Michael, a lifelong journey of honoring their past by living up to the values he had neglected. In the quiet solitude that followed their separation, Michael took to long walks, using the time to reflect on his marriage, his failures, and his future. Each step was a meditation on his past actions and a step toward understanding himself better. He realized that his journey of redemption was just beginning, that each day presented a new opportunity to prove his integrity and commitment to the values he had once forsaken. He kept up with his therapy, each session helping to unravel years of poor decisions and to rebuild his sense of self. Emily, on the other hand, embraced her newfound independence with a vigor that surprised even her. She threw herself into her art, her work becoming more daring and expressive, a reflection of her inner transformation. Her evenings were filled with classes, gallery visits, and coffee dates with friends who supported her through her transition. She found solace in her art, each brushstroke a testament to her resilience and strength. Slowly, the shadow of her failed marriage began to lift, replaced by a sense of possibility and excitement for the future. As they moved forward separately, both Michael and Emily learned to forgive, Michael, himself for his betrayals, and Emily, Michael for his failings. This forgiveness did not mean a reconciliation or a diminishing of the pain caused, but rather an acceptance of their human flaws and missteps. They both understood that their paths, once so intertwined, were now diverging, each leading to different futures that they had carved out through their choices. They remained in touch sporadically, a tentative friendship born out of their shared history and mutual respect for the journey each had undertaken. In this way, they honored their past, not with bitterness or regret, but with a hopeful acknowledgement of their growth and enduring care for each other. As Michael grappled with the stark new reality of his separation from Emily, he found himself reaching out, driven by a mix of loneliness and a genuine desire for reconciliation. However, each attempt to connect was met with silence. Emily, having decided to focus entirely on her own healing, had cut off all communication with Michael, blocking him on social media and refusing to answer his calls. This barrier forced Michael into a deep introspection, facing long evenings filled with the haunting silence of the home they once shared. He began journaling as a way to process his emotions, the pages filling with apologies he wished he could express and conversations he yearned to have. As weeks turned into months, the lack of contact solidified his resolve to transform himself, not just for Emily or any latent hope of reconciliation, but for his own sake, to become someone he could respect again. During this time, Emily immersed herself in activities that brought her peace and a sense of independence. She took up yoga and joined a local book club, surrounding herself with people and environments that supported her healing. These activities were not just distractions but vital steps in rebuilding the self-esteem that had been eroded during the final years of their marriage. She learned to enjoy her own company, finding solace in the quiet moments of solitude that had once made her feel abandoned. This period of growth was both painful and enlightening, as Emily began to understand that her happiness did not need to be contingent on another person. She fortified herself with new routines and friendships, crafting a life that felt wholly her own, a life where the echo of Michael's betrayals grew fainter with each passing day. Michael, on the other hand, felt the weight of Emily's absence in every corner of his life. The silence that met his overtures for communication served as a painful reminder of the consequences of his actions. It drove him to seek therapy, where he began to unravel the layers of his behavior that had led to the affair. These sessions were grueling but transformative, as he confronted uncomfortable truths about himself and the ways in which he had manipulated and hurt Emily. He came to understand that true atonement meant respecting her need for space, even if it meant enduring his own discomfort and loneliness. This acceptance marked a turning point for Michael, a painful but necessary step towards genuine change. In the quiet isolation of her new life, Emily discovered she was pregnant. The news arrived like a thunderclap on a clear day, unexpected and overwhelming. She wrestled with a tumult of emotions, joy, fear, uncertainty, all swirling within her as she considered the future. The pregnancy, resulting from their last encounter before the separation, felt like a cruel irony, a new life springing from the ashes of their failed marriage. Emily grappled with the decision to tell Michael, each scenario playing out in her mind ending in further complication of her already fragile peace. Ultimately, she chose to keep the pregnancy a secret, fearing that Michael's involvement might sway her burgeoning sense of independence and self-sufficiency. She wanted to make decisions free from his influence, to build a life for her child that was untainted by the past. As her pregnancy progressed, Emily found strength in her decision to raise her child alone. She prepared for motherhood with a diligent focus, attending prenatal classes, reading books on parenting, and transforming the spare room into a nursery. This preparation was a balm to her unsettled heart, each step forward affirming her capability to handle this new role. Her friends and family rallied around her, providing support and celebrating her resilience. Emily's mother, particularly, became a pillar of strength, sharing wisdom and offering comfort during moments of doubt. This network of support was crucial, helping Emily navigate the complexities of pregnancy without the partnership she had once envisioned. Meanwhile, Michael remained oblivious to the life growing inside Emily, his own life marked by a slow but steady reconstruction of his values and priorities. He focused on his work, using his career not just as a distraction but as a means to rebuild his sense of worth and responsibility. In his personal life, he maintained his therapy sessions, each one peeling back layers of his character and choices. He learned to live with the guilt, using it as a catalyst for personal growth rather than allowing it to consume him. His transformation was profound, visible to friends and colleagues who noted the change in his demeanor and his renewed focus on integrity and respect. This period of growth, though marked by loneliness and regret, was crucial in shaping the man he would become, someone perhaps ready to face the challenges that lay ahead, unknown to him yet profoundly significant. The birth of Jacob was a watershed moment for Emily, marking both an end and a beginning. She approached labor with a mixture of determination and trepidation, aware of the physical challenge ahead but buoyed by the emotional and symbolic significance of the moment. When Jacob finally arrived, his first cries were like a clarion call to Emily, summoning forth a reservoir of strength and love she had not known she possessed. Holding her son for the first time, Emily felt an indescribable connection, a bond that sealed her commitment to this new life they would share together. She promised herself and her newborn son that she would provide a life of stability, love, and joy, free from the shadows of past mistakes. As Emily adjusted to motherhood, she found that each day brought its own set of challenges and rewards. Jacob was a curious and lively child, his bright eyes and easy smiles bringing a new kind of light into Emily's world. She navigated the sleepless nights and endless days with a grace born of fierce love and unwavering determination, her mother and close friends providing support and relief when the demands of single parenthood seemed overwhelming. Emily's life revolved around Jacob's routines, feeding times, nap times, playtimes, each mundane moment precious and profound. She documented these early days meticulously, her camera and journal filled with the details of Jacob's development, keenly aware of the swift passage of time. Meanwhile, Michael continued his journey of self-improvement, unaware of the profound changes occurring in Emily's life. He filled his days with work and therapy, each session helping to unravel the complexities of his emotions and decisions. He learned to cook, something he had always relied on Emily for, and took up running, the physical exertion a release for his pent-up frustrations and guilt. His home, once shared with Emily, slowly transformed, reflecting his new solitary life, a life of contemplation and ongoing recovery. Michael's progress was palpable, his friends noticing a new depth of sincerity in his actions and conversations. Yet, beneath his busy schedule and reformed habits, a sense of incompleteness lingered, a gap that he could not define but felt deeply. It was a reminder of the losses he had endured, the relationships that had been altered irreparably, and the ongoing journey towards redemption that awaited him. 3 years after their separation, Michael's life had settled into a new rhythm, a semblance of normalcy that belied the undercurrents of his past mistakes. It was during a rare visit to a local park, a place where he had once spent happier times with Emily, that fate intervened in the most unexpected way. As he walked along the familiar paths, lost in thought, he spotted Emily across the grass, playing with a little boy who shared her smile. His heart stopped for a moment, the sight of her stirring old feelings and memories he thought he had managed to compartmentalize. The child, full of life and laughter, was clearly hers, a part of her life about which he knew nothing. The realization that Emily had moved on to such an extent, possibly with someone else, filled him with a complex mix of sorrow and panic. He watched them from a distance, the joyous interaction a sharp contrast to the loneliness he felt observing them. Compelled by a mixture of curiosity and longing, Michael approached them hesitantly, each step heavier than the last, laden with the gravity of the moment. As he drew near, Emily noticed him, and her expression shifted from happiness to a guarded caution. The atmosphere changed palpably, the air charged with a tense uncertainty. Michael introduced himself to the little boy, Jacob, who regarded him with innocent curiosity. The interaction was awkward, punctuated by Emily's terse responses and Michael's attempt to engage Jacob without overstepping unseen boundaries. This unexpected meeting forced Michael to confront the reality of Emily's new life, one that included a son he didn't know about. The encounter ended abruptly, with Emily taking Jacob's hand and walking away, leaving Michael standing alone, grappling with the shock and the overwhelming realization that his past actions had irrevocable consequences not just for him and Emily, but for the child he had just met. In the days following the park encounter, Michael found himself haunted by the image of Emily in Jacob. The realization that he could be Jacob's father gnawed at him, the timing of the boy's age aligning too closely with their separation. Driven by a need for answers, he reached out to Emily, requesting a meeting to discuss everything openly. Emily, sensing the inevitability of the conversation, agreed, and they met at a quiet cafe, a neutral ground laden with the echoes of their shared past. As they sat across from each other, the initial small talk quickly gave way to the heart of the matter. Michael's voice trembled slightly as he asked Emily the question that had been burning inside him since the park: was Jacob his son? Emily's response was measured, her voice steady despite the emotional weight of her words. She explained that Jacob was indeed his son, conceived during the final weeks of their marriage, a fact she had kept to herself for fear of complicating their already strained relationship. She detailed her struggle with the decision, her desire to protect Jacob from the potential upheaval of involving Michael, whose commitment and stability had once been so unreliable. Michael listened, each word sinking in like a stone, feeling the full impact of his past choices reverberating through his present. The revelation was a catalyst for a torrent of emotions: regret for the lost years, anger at himself for his failures, and a burgeoning love for the son he now knew he had. The conversation was a difficult but necessary confrontation with their past, a clearing of the air that ended with a tentative agreement to slowly explore the possibilities of co-parenting, with the well-being of Jacob as their paramount concern. Following their profound conversation, Michael found himself wrestling with a new reality that included a son he barely knew. Determined to make things right, he sought legal counsel to understand his rights and responsibilities as a father. The meetings with his lawyer were sobering, outlining the complex path towards legal paternity recognition and the potential custody arrangements. Michael was introduced to the intricacies of family law, each session with his lawyer a learning curve about consent, rights, and the delicate balance of pursuing his interests without disrupting Jacob's life more than necessary. He prepared himself for the possibility of a legal battle but hoped for a more amicable resolution for the sake of his son. At the same time, Michael intensified his efforts to understand and perform his role as a father. He read books on parenting, attended workshops, and sought advice from friends who were parents. He was determined not to repeat the mistakes of his past, his actions driven by a deep desire to do right by his son. These preparations were not just about fulfilling legal obligations but were part of a personal commitment to change, to build a relationship with Jacob based on trust and love rather than obligation. As he navigated these new waters, Michael remained aware of the delicate nature of his situation, the need to balance his enthusiasm for fatherhood with the reality of Emily's and Jacob's established life. It was a dance of patience and persistence, learning when to step forward and when to hold back. When Michael finally gathered the courage to tell his parents about Jacob, the reaction was mixed. His mother, always the empathetic heart of the family, expressed a profound sadness for the years lost and the pain caused but was also hopeful about the prospect of knowing her grandson. Her support bolstered Michael's resolve, her gentle reminders of the importance of patience and love guiding him through his tumultuous emotions. His father, however, was harder to read. Known for his stoic demeanor, he was initially disappointed in Michael's past actions, the revelations laying bare the consequences of choices made in haste. However, as the initial shock waned, he too came around, offering a gruff acknowledgement of the complex road ahead and promising to support Michael in his efforts to connect with Jacob. The family dynamics shifted with this new knowledge, discussions about how to support Michael in his journey to fatherhood becoming a central theme of their gatherings. Michael's parents, despite their initial reactions, became advocates for his budding relationship with Jacob, offering to help in any way they could. They discussed visits, holidays, and the gradual introduction of Jacob to the wider family, each conversation a step towards weaving Jacob into the fabric of their family life. These discussions were not without their tensions, as the family grappled with the reality of the situation and their roles within it. However, the overall sentiment was one of reconciliation and hope, a collective commitment to support Michael and to welcome Jacob with open arms, regardless of the circumstances of his arrival. In the weeks following the family discussions, Michael took careful, deliberate steps to make amends and forge a path into his son Jacob's life. He began by sending gifts and letters to Jacob, each one carefully chosen to reflect a genuine interest in his son's hobbies and preferences, which he learned about through Emily. These small offerings were Michael's way of reaching out, of bridging the physical and emotional distance that lay between them. Alongside these gifts, Michael included letters written to Jacob, explaining who he was in simple, age-appropriate language, sharing stories of his own childhood, and expressing his excitement and nervousness about being a part of Jacob's life. These letters were crafted with a palpable sincerity, each word imbued with the hope of forming a bond, and a silent plea for acceptance. Emily, observing from a distance, was cautiously optimistic about Michael's efforts. She monitored Jacob's reactions, her primary concern being his emotional well-being. To her relief, Jacob was curious and receptive to the gifts and stories from his father, asking questions and gradually warming up to the idea of Michael being more than just a name in a story. This progress was heartening to Emily, who began to feel a cautious hope that perhaps a co-parenting arrangement could work after all. She facilitated a few video calls between Michael and Jacob, supervising their interactions, which were awkward at first but gradually filled with genuine moments of connection. This slow and steady approach allowed Jacob to become familiar with Michael in a controlled, safe environment, easing him into the new reality of his expanded family. Despite the budding relationship between Michael and Jacob, Emily harbored deep-seated reservations. Her memories of the pain caused by Michael's betrayal were still vivid, the scars not fully healed, casting a shadow of doubt over her interactions with Michael. She was torn between her desire to facilitate a relationship between father and son and her instinct to protect Jacob from potential heartache. Emily discussed her concerns with her therapist, who helped her navigate her complex emotions and fears about reintroducing Michael into their lives. The therapist encouraged her to set clear boundaries and to communicate openly with Michael about her expectations and fears. This communication was crucial as it laid the groundwork for their future interactions. Emily and Michael had several difficult conversations where they discussed co-parenting dynamics, boundaries, and how to handle disagreements. They agreed to keep their relationship strictly focused on Jacob's welfare, with Emily making it clear that any hint of returning to their past romantic relationship was off the table. Michael understood and respected these boundaries, grateful for the opportunity to be a part of his son's life and determined not to squander it. As they navigated this delicate balance, Emily found herself impressed by Michael's patience and genuine efforts, which slowly chipped away at the wall she had built around her heart. Realizing the complexity of their situation, Michael and Emily decided to seek the help of a professional mediator to guide them in setting up a formal co-parenting agreement. The mediation session was tense, with both parties bringing their hopes and fears to the table. The mediator, experienced in family dynamics, provided a neutral ground and helped facilitate a constructive dialogue between them. They discussed schedules, holidays, and how to handle emergencies, each topic a step towards a comprehensive parenting plan. The mediator also emphasized the importance of communication and flexibility, key components of successful co-parenting. Through the course of the mediation, Michael and Emily were forced to confront their past and present feelings. It was an emotionally charged session that required them to not only talk about practical matters but also to listen to each other's concerns and wishes. The process was cathartic, allowing them to express things that had been left unsaid and to understand each other's perspectives better. By the end of the session, they had outlined a tentative plan that prioritized Jacob's best interests while allowing both parents to be actively involved in his life. The agreement was a significant milestone, marking a new phase in their relationship as co-parents. It was not just a legal necessity but a commitment to their son and to maintaining a peaceful, supportive environment around him. Michael's first visit to see Jacob under Emily's supervision was fraught with a nervous anticipation that felt almost tangible. He arrived with a backpack full of toys and books, hoping to win some favor with his son, aware that these initial interactions would set the tone for their future relationship. The visit took place in Emily's home, a space that was both familiar and entirely foreign to Michael. Emily observed quietly from a distance, her presence a constant reminder of the boundaries that now defined their interaction. The afternoon was a mix of small victories and awkward pauses. Jacob was initially shy, hiding behind his mother, peeking curiously at Michael. Gradually, as they played together, a tentative connection began to form. Michael was cautious, guided by Emily's subtle cues, each moment spent playing or reading to Jacob feeling like a step towards redemption. These visits became more frequent, each one carefully navigated to balance Michael's eagerness to bond with Jacob and Emily's need to protect her son. The sessions were short, lasting only a few hours each time, but they were dense with significance. Michael learned to read Jacob's moods and interests, slowly figuring out how to engage him in ways that were both fun and meaningful. Emily, for her part, found herself analyzing every interaction, torn between her hope for Jacob to have his father in his life and her lingering fears about Michael's consistency and commitment. Over time, the visits grew less awkward, evolving into a careful dance of familial interaction where Michael and Emily both learned to navigate their roles as co-parents under the new terms they had set for themselves. Fatherhood was both more wonderful and more daunting than Michael had ever imagined. Each visit with Jacob revealed new facets of his personality and interests, and Michael found himself eagerly looking forward to these discoveries. He learned to keep a stash of Jacob's favorite snacks and to play his favorite games, delighting in the bright peals of laughter that filled the room when they played together. But these moments of joy were also interspersed with challenges. There were days when Jacob was fussy and did not want to engage, and Michael had to learn the delicate art of patience and the right words to soothe a temper tantrum or a bout of sadness. Michael also sought guidance from parenting books and online forums, desperate to make up for the time he had lost and determined to be the best father he could be. He learned about child development stages, trying to understand Jacob's needs and how he could meet them. The learning curve was steep, and while Michael sometimes felt overwhelmed, he was also profoundly grateful for the second chance he had been given. These efforts did not go unnoticed by Emily, who saw the genuine effort Michael was putting into fatherhood. Her guarded appreciation was a balm to Michael's fears, and it encouraged him to keep striving, to keep learning how to be the father Jacob needed. As the weeks turned into months, Jacob's initial shyness around Michael transformed into a budding enthusiasm. He began to ask about his father when he wasn't around, his inquiries a mix of curiosity and affection that warmed Michael's heart. Michael, in turn, cherished these growing bonds, each visit adding a layer of depth to their relationship. He was there for Jacob's small victories, his first successfully ridden bike without training wheels, his artwork from school, and his random, thoughtful questions about the world. Each of these moments was a stitch in the fabric of their relationship, mending the past with threads of new memories. For Emily, watching the bond between Michael and Jacob grow was a complex emotional experience. She felt a mixture of relief and unease, happiness for Jacob, and a residual wariness about Michael's involvement. Her emotions were a whirlwind, often leaving her feeling drained and uncertain. However, she couldn't deny the positive effects of Michael's presence in Jacob's life. It was evident in Jacob's happier moods and his increasingly frequent talks about Daddy. Emily grappled with her feelings, trying to reconcile the burgeoning reality of their new family dynamic with the scars of past betrayals. It was a slow and often painful process, but she began to acknowledge the genuine effort Michael was making, which made it slightly easier to let down her guard, bit by bit. Recognizing the need for professional guidance to navigate their complicated family dynamics, Emily and Michael started attending family therapy sessions with Jacob. These sessions were designed to create a safe space for each of them to express their feelings and learn healthy ways to interact. The therapist, Dr. Lena, was skilled at facilitating difficult conversations, helping them explore their roles within this new family structure. For Michael, the sessions were eye-opening, revealing the depth of Emily's pain and the resilience with which she had faced the challenges of single parenthood. For Emily, the sessions offered a platform to voice her fears and expectations regarding Michael's role in Jacob's life. The therapy sessions gradually helped them understand and anticipate the challenges of co-parenting. They learned communication strategies that allowed them to discuss their concerns and coordinate their efforts without conflict. Jacob, too, benefited from these sessions. Though young, he was perceptive and sensitive to the tensions between his parents. The therapy helped normalize the new family dynamics, making him feel secure and loved by both parents. As they continued with the sessions, Michael and Emily started to see each other in a new light, not just as former spouses but as partners in parenting, both committed to Jacob's well-being. As Michael became more involved in Jacob's life, their situation inevitably became more visible to the outside world. Friends, neighbors, and colleagues began to notice the changes, and with these observations came a variety of reactions. Some were supportive, offering kind words and encouragement, delighted to see Michael taking an active role in his son's life. Others were more skeptical, whispering doubts about the sincerity of his commitment and the feasibility of their arrangement. Both Michael and Emily had to navigate this social scrutiny, facing judgments and having to repeatedly explain their situation to those around them. This public exposure was challenging for Emily, who valued privacy and had managed to keep her struggles largely to herself. She found herself defending her decision to allow Michael back into Jacob's life, sometimes feeling the need to justify her choices to people who did not fully understand the complexity of their circumstances. Michael faced his own set of challenges, dealing with the stigma of being a father who had initially been absent. He learned to focus on the positive aspects, drawing strength from the support of those who truly cared and understood. Together, Emily and Michael learned to shield Jacob from any negative backlash, presenting a united front to protect their son from the potentially harmful effects of public opinion. When Jacob's 4th birthday approached, Emily invited Michael to be a part of the celebration, marking a significant moment in their co-parenting journey. The invitation was a testament to the progress they had made, a sign that Emily trusted Michael enough to include him in such an important event. Michael was deeply touched by the gesture, aware of its significance and determined to make the day special for Jacob. The party was a small affair, with close family and friends, an environment where Jacob felt loved and happy. Michael's presence was well received, and he took joy in being able to celebrate his son's milestone openly. The birthday was not just a celebration of Jacob's age but also of the milestones they had all reached as a family. Michael's involvement in the party planning and his interaction with Emily's family and their mutual friends helped solidify his role as Jacob's father in the eyes of the community. It was a reaffirmation of his commitment, an opportunity to show everyone, including Emily, that he was serious about his responsibilities. For Emily, the event was bittersweet, filled with moments of joy watching Jacob happy and surrounded by love, but also moments of reflection on the journey that had brought them to this point. The success of the day was a hopeful indicator of future celebrations and milestones they could share as co-parents, each step forward reinforcing the foundation they were building for Jacob. During one of their regular family therapy sessions, Dr. Lena encouraged Michael and Emily to discuss their past, to confront the hurt and betrayal and to openly discuss their feelings about it. This session was particularly intense, as both Michael and Emily delved into painful memories and the impact of Michael's affair on their lives. Michael expressed profound remorse for his actions, articulating the guilt and shame that had haunted him since their separation. He acknowledged the pain he had caused Emily and the ripple effects on their families and friends. Emily, in turn, shared her journey of healing, the loneliness and resilience that had defined her life since their split. This acknowledgement of the past was crucial for both of them, as it allowed them to process unresolved feelings and to recognize the growth they had both undergone. It was a painful but healing conversation, one that helped to clear the air and to lay a stronger foundation for their future interactions. The therapist guided them through this process, ensuring that each had the opportunity to speak and be heard, and helping them to formulate ways to deal with similar issues in the future. This session was a pivotal moment in their therapy, as it allowed them to move forward with a clearer understanding of each other's perspectives and feelings, a step towards healing the wounds of the past. Just as Michael and Emily were finding a semblance of stability in their co-parenting relationship, Lauren reappeared in Michael's life, an unwelcome echo of past mistakes. She contacted Michael unexpectedly, claiming to need closure for their own unresolved past. Her return threatened to disrupt the delicate balance Michael and Emily had worked so hard to achieve. Michael, aware of the potential damage Lauren could cause, was torn between a sense of obligation to deal with Lauren and the need to protect his family from any further upheaval. Michael decided to meet Lauren in a public place, hoping to keep the meeting controlled and brief. He made it clear to Lauren that his priority was his son and his relationship with Emily, and that there was no space for her in his life anymore. Lauren, feeling rebuffed and perhaps still harboring feelings for Michael, reacted poorly, her emotions ranging from sadness to anger. She threatened to make things difficult for him, hinting that she could disrupt his life again if she chose to. Michael ended the meeting firmly, reiterating that his family was his priority, and any attempt by Lauren to interfere would not be tolerated. He left the meeting shaken but resolute, aware that he might need to take further steps to protect his family. After the unsettling encounter with Lauren, Michael discussed the situation with Emily. Concerned for Jacob's well-being, they both agreed that it was essential to safeguard their son from any fallout. They consulted with their family lawyer to understand their legal options and to ensure that they could respond effectively if Lauren attempted to cause trouble. The lawyer advised them on precautionary measures they could take and reassured them that they had strong grounds to protect their family life from outside interference. Michael and Emily also revisited their family therapist, seeking advice on how to maintain stability for Jacob amidst this new threat. The therapist emphasized the importance of maintaining routine and normalcy for Jacob and advised them on how to manage their own stress so that it did not affect their son. Michael and Emily left the session feeling empowered, their resolve strengthened to protect their son at all costs. They implemented additional privacy measures and remained vigilant, prepared to act swiftly should Lauren follow through on her threats. This united front was a testament to their growth and to their commitment to their son's safety and happiness. In the wake of Lauren's threatening return, Michael and Emily took proactive steps to solidify their roles in Jacob's life, ensuring that their legal and emotional boundaries were clearly defined and understood. They met with their lawyer to draft a formal co-parenting agreement that detailed their responsibilities and the logistics of their arrangement. This document served as a legal affirmation of their roles as co-parents, providing a structured framework that helped minimize conflicts and misunderstandings. It also included provisions for handling external threats, such as the one posed by Lauren, giving them a clear protocol to follow should she attempt to disrupt their lives. With their legal bases covered, Michael and Emily focused on reinforcing their roles with Jacob. They spent time together as a family, participating in activities that fostered a sense of unity and stability. They were careful to present a united front, ensuring that Jacob saw them as a team, despite their complex history. This effort was crucial in providing Jacob with a sense of security and in showing him that, no matter the challenges, his parents were committed to his well-being above all else. As they navigated this new phase, Michael and Emily found that their relationship, while forever altered by the past, had evolved into a strong, respectful partnership focused on their son's happiness and growth. This new equilibrium was not just a necessity but a sincere commitment to their roles as co-parents, a commitment that they continually nurtured for the sake of their son. Michael, Emily, and Jacob worked together to establish new routines that brought structure and predictability into their lives. Regular visits, involvement in Jacob's schooling, and planning for holidays together helped them create a cohesive family environment. This routine was crucial for Jacob, providing him with a sense of security and belonging, and for Michael and Emily, it reinforced their commitment to effective co-parenting. As they navigated this new normal, the small successes in their daily interactions built a foundation of trust and cooperation that had once seemed impossible to achieve. The establishment of these routines also allowed Michael and Emily to redefine their relationship boundaries, keeping their interactions focused on Jacob's well-being while respecting each other's personal space. This approach minimized conflicts and misunderstandings, and gradually, their relationship evolved from tense coexistence to a more harmonious and supportive partnership. Their ability to work together for Jacob's sake brought a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment, marking a significant step forward in their journey towards a stable family life. Life, however, continued to test their resilience. Jacob fell ill one winter, a stressful time that required Michael and Emily to coordinate closely for his care. This situation brought them closer, as they shared responsibilities and supported each other through the stress and worry of parenting a sick child. Additionally, disagreements over parenting styles occasionally surfaced, challenging them to negotiate and compromise. These setbacks, though difficult, served as important learning experiences, helping them strengthen their communication and deepen their understanding of each other's perspectives. Each challenge they faced and overcame together reinforced their commitment and proved the strength of their co-parenting relationship. It showed them that they could rely on each other in difficult times, an assurance that laid a deeper foundation for their family. Their ability to navigate these setbacks with grace and cooperation was a testament to their growth both as individuals and as co-parents, highlighting their dedication to providing Jacob with a loving and stable environment. As Michael and Emily continued to co-parent successfully, their community's perception began to shift. Friends, family, and neighbors gradually started to view them not just as separated individuals but as a united family team. This acceptance played a crucial role in reinforcing their confidence in their co-parenting arrangement. Community support, expressed through kind words, invitations to events as a family, and visible respect for their partnership, bolstered their morale and provided a supportive environment for Jacob. The sense of community acceptance was empowering for Michael and Emily, validating their efforts and struggles to rebuild their family dynamics. It also provided Jacob with a consistent and supportive community backdrop, crucial for his emotional and social development. This broad support network became an invaluable asset, offering not just practical help but also emotional encouragement, which was essential for maintaining the stability and happiness of their redefined family unit. Over time, the effective co-parenting arrangement led Michael and Emily to develop a deeper respect for each other. They found themselves appreciating each other's efforts more openly, communicating more effectively, and occasionally sharing moments of genuine camaraderie and laughter. This evolution in their relationship prompted both to reevaluate their feelings, considering the possibility that their connection might extend beyond just shared parental responsibilities. This period of reflection and deepening emotional connection brought them to a crossroads, challenging them to consider what their future could hold. The successful management of their co-parenting responsibilities had laid a strong foundation, and now, with a deeper mutual respect and understanding, they faced the possibility of a more integrated relationship. This realization was both surprising and promising, suggesting that their journey together might continue to evolve in ways they hadn't previously imagined. Encouraged by the progress and stability they had achieved, Michael took a bold step. During a routine family outing, he proposed the idea of remarriage to Emily. This proposal took her by surprise, sparking a flood of emotions as she considered the implications of such a step. The suggestion forced both of them to confront their feelings and the potential risks of recommitting in such a significant way. It was a moment filled with vulnerability and hope, highlighting how far they had come and how much had changed since their separation. Emily took time to process the proposal, reflecting on the changes in Michael, the strength of their current relationship, and her feelings about starting anew. It was a decision that required careful consideration, weighing the successes of their co-parenting efforts against the potential challenges of rekindling their marriage. Michael's proposal, while unexpected, was a testament to his faith in their rebuilt relationship and his desire to restore what they had once lost. Following Michael's proposal, both he and Emily turned to their families for guidance and support. Their families had witnessed the downfall of their marriage and the efforts to rebuild their co-parenting relationship, offering unique perspectives on their situation. The families' reactions were overwhelmingly supportive. They encouraged Michael and Emily to carefully consider the proposal but expressed their backing for whatever decision they made, emphasizing the importance of happiness and stability for both them and Jacob. This support was crucial as Michael and Emily navigated through their considerations about remarriage. Knowing they had the backing of their loved ones provided a sense of security and confidence, making it easier to discuss the future openly and honestly. The family's encouragement and readiness to support their union or co-parenting, whatever the outcome, reinforced the positive dynamics that had developed, assuring them that their decision would be respected and supported. To further explore the possibility of remarriage, Michael and Emily decided to spend a weekend away together, a time dedicated to discussing their future without distractions. This getaway was a chance for them to reconnect on a deeper level, to discuss their fears, hopes, and the practicalities of what their remarriage would entail. They talked extensively about what had gone wrong in the past and what they would need to do differently. It was a candid and sometimes difficult series of conversations, but it was also filled with moments of reconnection and rediscovery of their affection for each other. The weekend brought clarity and a renewed sense of commitment to both. They returned with a decision to give their relationship another chance, this time with a stronger foundation built on years of growth, understanding, and effective co-parenting. The decision was not made lightly, but with a profound awareness of the challenges they had overcome and the work still ahead. It was a choice made with optimism, grounded in the reality of their improved relationship dynamics. With their decision made, Michael and Emily planned a small, intimate wedding ceremony focused on celebrating their journey in Jacob's central role in their reunion. The event was symbolic, marking not just the rekindling of their marital vows but also their success in overcoming significant challenges together. The ceremony was attended by close family and friends, all of whom had supported them through their highs and lows. Jacob, delighted by the festivities, played a special part, further cementing the feeling of family unity that the ceremony symbolized. The wedding was a joyful, emotional event, filled with speeches that recounted their story of loss, learning, and love rediscovered. It was a celebration of resilience and a testament to the power of forgiveness and second chances. For Michael and Emily, it marked a new beginning, an opportunity to start anew with the lessons of the past firmly in mind, and a future that promised continued growth and happiness. Newly remarried, Michael and Emily bought a new home to start afresh, leaving behind any remnants of their past conflicts. This house was chosen with careful consideration, representing their new life and the future they were eager to build. It was a space that they decorated together, making decisions that reflected both of their tastes, a tangible symbol of their renewed partnership. The move was an uplifting experience for Jacob too, who was excited about his new room and the backyard he had always wanted. The new home was a place of peace and potential, filled with the laughter and love of a family that had fought hard for their second chance. It was their haven, a place where old grievances were laid to rest and new memories were waiting to be made. For Michael, Emily, and Jacob, it was more than just a house. It was a home where each room was a testament to their journey and their commitment to moving forward together. Settling into their new life, Michael and Emily often found themselves reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. They recognized the challenges they had faced and the growth they had each experienced. Sitting together in their new living room, they discussed the lessons they had learned about love, forgiveness, and the importance of honest communication. These reflections were not just recollections of past events but ongoing conversations that shaped how they approached their relationship each day. Their story was one of hope and healing, a narrative that continued to evolve with each passing day. They were committed to maintaining the open dialogue that had helped them rebuild their relationship and to supporting each other in their individual pursuits and shared goals. As they planned for the future, they did so with the knowledge that they had overcome significant obstacles and with the confidence that they could face whatever lay ahead. Their life together was a testament to the fact that with enough work, love could be renewed, and forgiveness could lead to profound healing. Their journey was a powerful reminder of the second chances that life offers and the transformative power of love and commitment. That's the end of the story. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification so that you'll be notified whenever we drop our next videos. Also, share this video to someone who might be interested. Thank you so much for watching.